One of the earliest sketches of a chain and the use of a drive chain is found in the Atlantic Codex, a collection of drawings and sketches done 20 years prior to 20 years past year 1500. These are sketches done by Leonardo da Vinci. So in other words, a drive chain and the maintenance of a drive chain is not a new thing. All this equipment is fairly inexpensive, so the gear lubricant all the way to the left with the green label is $5 for a quart. The next one is a fully synthetic gear lubricant with a wider range of thickness. It is $7, and the little bottle, 8-ounce bottle of aerosol, very thin oil that I use as a cleaning agent is $2, and it'll probably last you 4 cleaning cycles, at least, maybe more, probably more. And the next little 8 fluid ounce gear lube, that's more if you want to keep a little some oil on your bike if you go traveling or out in the rough. You just want to keep something there, and it's I don't know, $4. And then of course you need some gloves, nitrile gloves, heavy duty ones, and shop paper towels. I've been using this for literally decades. I started using the gear lubricant on bicycle chains and stuff, and it worked pretty good. And I don't know, it's just what I've been using. It's cheap and effective. After checking the tire pressure and checking the conditions of your tires, that you don't have any gouges or anything in it, nails or screws sticking out of it, cleaning and lubricating the chain will be the most common piece of maintenance you have to do on your motorcycle. On this Yamaha Tenere 700, Yamaha, they recommends cleaning and lubricating the chain every 600 miles, which might be a little bit on the long side. But they also have a little disclaimer that after you wash the bike or after you ride in rain, you need to clean and lubricate it. So in other words, you need to do it fairly often. The cheaper, the easier, and the faster it is to do it, the bigger the chances you're actually going to do it as often as they recommend and not just delay it. So what I do is that I take a piece of cardboard and I slide it up underneath between the chain and the wheel, and that's just to catch the cleaning agent that I use. And then I take a piece of the regular shop towel, paper towel, and put it down so it absorbs whatever overspray, whatever drips down. And then I just use a cheap thin oil. It's an aerosol oil. This is something I picked up at the Walmart for a couple of dollars, and I use that as my cleaning agent. I do not believe in using a cleaning agent that is a degreaser. I did that many years ago. That was on non-O-ring chains. And you'll never get you can clean the oil out of the links inside the barrels and the pin, but you will never get the oil back in again. So what I started doing is always use a thin oil as a cleaning agent. All new motorcycles, they come with an O-ring chain, and is there O-ring, X-ring, triple X, whatever. It's just basically multiple layers of sealant or seals. The O-ring has like 1 layer, 1 groove. X has 2, triple X has 3 layers. It's better. But it all is the same, that it's better just use a thin oil. And then I use a thicker oil as the lubrication. And of course you can buy PTFE or Teflon based or wax based or whatever, but this is cheap, it's quick. It's a little dirty, which it always is with chain. So what I do is I just start spraying the chain, and that's why I have the piece of cardboard. And I just basically spray the whole frame. This is not too dirty, it's fairly clean. So And I start spraying. I rotate the tire the same way as the drive direction, because then the cleaning agents have more time to drip down. So if you have a lot of time, you just can do it slowly, and you can do it as many times. You can see that it's fairly gunky, and then you just take some more paper towels. The paper towel is actually less expensive if you go to Walmart and buy them versus the auto parts store. And then you can see it is fairly dirty. And if it's very dirty, the chain, just do it slower and just spray a little bit longer per link. And usually I do it in this direction, because then the oil or the cleaning agents has a longer drip range before it hits the sprocket up here. So you can see here the sprocket, you don't get any oil dripping down into the areas that are hard to get to. Now it's all on the easier parts. And if you hold the cleaning rag up against the rollers, then that's advisable. You do that on both sides. So if you hold the paper up against the roller, you'll clean the inside of it, because the roller will rotate as you do it. And then you can just move the paper around. And this chain is pretty clean. So you can still see some grime, so you'll never get the chain like super clean the way it came from the factory, but that's not really the point. The point is to get rid of most of the grime. Some people, they don't believe that you need to lubricate an O-ring chain, but I don't believe in that. Anywhere when you have metal to metal contact, you need lubrication. And don't be stingy on your paper towels. It doesn't take that many to clean it. And always use a pair of thick or medium, at least medium duty, or preferably thick. These are nitrile gloves, and these are pretty sturdy. They're from Harbor Freight, and they're pretty inexpensive. And when the center stand, it's super easy. And just be careful so you don't get your fingers caught in between the sprocket and the chain. That's not advisable. Just take your time, but it's still pretty quick. And you could literally sit here for an hour and before it would get clean, but that's really not what you're after. You just have to get the main piece of gunk out because it'll get dirty pretty quickly. So what I do is that I bought the gear oil, like 80-90 weight, or if you're fancy you can buy the synthetic that has a wider weight ratio. But I filled it up in a little bottle and I use that to lubricate it. So it's the same thing that if I put it on up closer to the engine, then the oil has longer to come through and drip off, and you get less mess. And once you threw the whole thing, you see you're not using that much, and I was a little generous. Get some more paper towel and then wipe off the excess. And also when you're wiping off the excess, you're helping to spread around all the side plates. Because what you're doing too is that you're preventing corrosion. And you don't want to leave too much because then it's going to spray onto the wheel once you start riding. And also clean the little contact points, the little roller, polyurethane roller, and the little slider up here. But if you have a side stand, you have all the tools ready, you can literally do this in 5-10 minutes. It doesn't take that long at all. And you get the smell of fresh oil in the morning. And never ever start up the bike to do this. Just take your time and roll it by hand. Because if you start up the bike and put it in gear and you get your fingers caught in between here, it's not worth it. It takes more time than spending an extra minute or two just turning the wheel by hand. Yeah, so now the chain basically looks brand new. Not so with paper towels. And actually what I've done many years too is I didn't use the thin oil as a cleaning agent, I just used the gear oil the whole as a cleaning agent and as a lubricant. Because it's actually thin enough to do the cleaning job. Yeah, and it's a mess, but it's part of the chain. And with chains, it's probably more important to do it often and do a quick clean, a quick lubrication, than it is to do it seldom and be too diligent. Also on this Tanneray 700, I need to check the chain slack. Here it's too large. They recommend a specification in the instruction book in the owner or the service manual is 43 to 48 millimeter, maximum of 55. And this measured from the edge of this little chain or swing arm chain protector from here and down to the top of the link. So here we're pretty close to the minimum of 43. You can see there is some still pretty good slack here. This is a Swedish meter stick, so it's what carpenters use when they work on houses in Sweden. Pretty nifty. Later on, I will try to do a dive into the deep end of motorcycle chain maintenance and explain the finer parts of this 500-year-old piece of machinery. Thanks for watching. Please subscribe. More videos to follow.